Welcome to That Voice Podcast. I'm your host, Sally Prosser. If you want to speak with style, sass, and soul so you can love your voice and land your message, you're in the right place. Let's hit it. Hello, welcome back to That Voice Podcast. A big welcome if you're here for the first time. As a voice and public speaking coach, people often ask me for advice around their presentations and confidence in their voice, and that might be why you're tuning in today. But what I've noticed in the last 12 months especially is people are asking me for advice not for them, but for someone they're helping. So for example, Mariah, content queen, she's helped me out a lot. She's an absolute gun with social media content and strategy, and she was asking me how she can encourage her clients to be more confident and give more energy on camera. But she's like, how do I do this in a way that's more encouraging than, oh dear, that's pretty bad, and more effective than just, give it a bit more gusto? And I can answer that. Another client of mine mentors a lot of young women. She's in a predominantly male industry. And she asked me, Sally, how do I encourage these women to use their voice, to share their value, to hold their boundaries, to not doubt themselves, and do it in a way that's assertive, not aggressive or passive? What do I say? I can answer that. And then a friend of mine who's a leadership coach, she runs workshops and trainings, and her focus isn't voice and speaking, but it's inevitably part of leadership. And she said someone commented in a workshop about, not liking the sound of their voice, and they didn't want to be posting any videos for social media. And she could answer it, but she said, oh, what would Sally say? And that's just a few examples that come to mind with this recurring theme of how do I teach, how do I coach voice and speaking related content. So my area, voice and speaking, it's like the arts degree of the coaching and training world. No matter what specialization you're in, leadership, social media, culture, team building, what else, career, safety, using your voice is integral to your success. And I thought about it. I have loads of speaking experience. This podcast is about to hit 300 episodes. Can you believe? I've posted videos on social media for years. I recorded my entire audiobook in a few hours. I've got an episode on that. I've done a TEDx. I speak on stage professionally. And I got to tell you, I prefer coaching to speaking. I opened a speech and drama studio when I was 16. It was the front room of our family home, which was also Dad's office. And then right through senior school and uni, I was coaching kids in speech and drama. My youngest, my little, he was only 4, right up to 17-year-olds. Such a learning curve. And I also did group classes at the Wollongong Conservatorium for a while. Then throughout my radio and TV news reporting career, I was always helping other journos with their voice, how to deliver the stories, and this soon became a formal arrangement. And right through to today, I help journos with their voice and also career mentoring. And I was also a tutor in the journalism school at the University of Queensland. And so I have a solid background in teaching and coaching, and this was all before I opened this business 8 years ago. And the catalyst for starting this business was a calling to help people use their voice. I remember being in a meeting, and it was a regular run-of-the-mill meeting, and I walked out, and a woman who I hadn't had much to do with came up to me and said, "Oh, Sal, can I ask you something?" "Sure." "How do you always say what you want to say in meetings?" And I was quite confused. I said, "What do you mean?" And she said, "Well, I plan what to say and I write it down and I want to speak, but then it doesn't come out right or I get interrupted." And I said, "Well, we can't have this." And so we started doing informal lessons at lunchtime in the kitchen. And so I was like, right, this is what you've got to do. And she said, "Wow, this is really helpful." And it made me realize that I had a skill set in this area. And so since starting the business, I've run loads of online courses. I've worked with hundreds of clients privately, ranging from writing their keynotes to improving the sound of their voice, to unraveling a deeply rooted story from their childhood that was blocking their voice. So speech and drama teaching is my core qualification. I have a licentiate diploma in speech and drama teaching. And then I've also trained in NLP, neuro-linguistic programming, which has a brilliant suite of coaching tools within that. And then, of course, as a workshop trainer, I've worked with corporate teams from many different industries at different levels. And you name a random curveball to pop up, and I would say I have dealt with it. And so I reflected on all this and I thought, yeah, I'm absolutely in a great position to coach people how to coach, to advise people how to advise. And there is a need for this. In this age of AI, our human voices are more valuable than they've ever been. And those of us using our voices already need to get together to be strong guides for other people to use their voice too. This is a movement. The ripple effect of passing on to others the gift of their voice cannot be underestimated. One of my goals with my book Voiceprint is to get the word voiceprint into everyday language, just like a fingerprint or a footprint. And when I closed my eyes and connected to my intuition, my higher self, asked what should I do next, the answer was abundantly clear. You need to create a Lead the Leader style course. And my brand new course, the Certified Voiceprint Leader, was born. Now, if you follow me, you may have seen I'm off to walk the Camino de Santiago in Spain, all 850 kilometres of the northern route, and I'm renovating my apartment. So I said to myself, are you sure you want to create a brand new course now? The answer was yes. Sal, you got to do this. And so that's when I floated the idea, and within a couple of days, I had almost 10 people, bang, committed. So that was the sign. This is needed. Let's do it. A bit of work never killed you, Sal. And I have to say, it doesn't feel like work because the Certified Voiceprint Leader is more than my skills, knowledge, and 25 years of experience poured into a structured program. It really is my soul's calling to help people use their voice and make their mark. To leave that lasting impression, their voice print. And if you are someone who leads others, I would love to welcome you into our very first cohort of Certified Voiceprint Leaders. You might be a coach, a manager, a facilitator, a trainer. You're that person who people come to for advice about how do I prep for this presentation? How do I get this idea across in the meeting? Or what do I do on social media? You might be someone who notices people around you aren't nudging their potential. They're not speaking up. They're doubting themselves. They're selling themselves short when the spotlight is on them, and you just know they have more to give. And in the Certified Voiceprint Leader course, you'll learn how to give exceptional advice. And you'll also learn the techniques so you can lead by example. If you are not in a position of guiding others, but you want to become a better communicator and a confident speaker, then my program Soul Speakers might be a better fit. And actually, Soul Speakers, there's a lot of people who are joining from Soul Speakers to the Certified Voiceprint Leader course. Soul Speakers get $500 off. So if you're interested in both, then, come on in and join it all. The Certified Voiceprint Leader course is 8 weeks. It starts on the 19th of October, 2026, which might seem like ages away, but the kind of people joining need to get things in their calendar early. The live calls are 6 to 7 p.m. AEST, Brisbane time, Australian Eastern Standard Time on Mondays. And I'm also going to limit the numbers to make sure the value is there. So it will likely sell out well before the start date. So don't leave it too late. There is also a project component to the course, which I'm excited about. And I need to make sure I have capacity, for want of a less corporate-y word, to be able to mark all of the projects. So that's why we're limiting the numbers. All the logistics about the course you will find at the link in the show notes. This podcast episode is not about listing all the logistics. It's about why you would want to become a certified voiceprint leader. And I could reel off bullet points about getting a proven framework, about the value of being handed my templates and resources that you can keep for life, about how transformative the live calls will be because I will be demonstrating the techniques in real time. I could talk about the credibility you'll have by being able to add Certified Voiceprint Leader to your resume, to your offerings, and all those things are true. Why become a Certified Voiceprint Leader really comes down to one simple question. Do you feel called to help people find their voice and leave a positive mark when they speak? Once more, do you feel called to help people find their voice and leave a positive mark when they speak? Are you called to be a voiceprint leader? If the answer is yes, listen to that. Act on that. I can't wait to see you inside this course. Click through the link in the show notes or reach out to me on socials, and I will be back on the podcast airwaves with an amazing guest next week. Thanks for listening. If it resonated, please share on your socials and tag us at That Voice Podcast on Instagram. And for episode details, hot off the drop, straight to your inbox, leave your email at thatvoicepodcast.com.